Hello. Tonight I want to talk a little about escalation in the Ukraine conflict, and then work through a couple of topics, and then talk a little bit about some interesting reports around what might be Skynet's first foray in the Ukraine conflict. But to start with, I'll talk a little bit about the US budget. So the Pentagon has just asked Congress to sign off on an $842 billion budget for them for 2024. So this is $0.8 trillion. It's a 3.2% increase over their 2023 budget. And a considerable chunk of this will be most likely spent to continue the war in Ukraine. The Council for Foreign Relations has a good article on the spending being sent to Ukraine thus far, and I'll put a link to that in the description below. But so far, the United States has sent just under $80 billion of aid to the Ukraine. That's broken down into a number of different types of aid, coming at just under $4 billion. The humanitarian aid, things like emergency food assistance, healthcare, refugee support. Financial aid at just over $25 billion. So this is budgetary aid through economic support funds and loans, money to keep the Ukrainian government running, that sort of thing. Security assistance, just under $20 billion for training, equipment, weapons, logistics support, and other assistance provided to Ukraine. Then on weapons and equipment as its own subcategory, just under $25 billion, and $23.5 billion for weapons and equipment from Defense Department stocks, which have been provided through presidential drawdowns. So this is the discretionary funding that Joe Biden is able to call upon. I think he's got a limit of about $30 billion, and so far $23.5 billion have been drawn down on that. And then finally, there's another $5 billion and change for grants and loans for weapons and equipment. So of the almost $80 billion sent by the US so far, just over 45, a bit under $50 billion has been the total military component of that. There's also been just an interesting report which has come out, in which I heard Alexander Mercouris of the Duran talking about, where Reuters are claiming that, or they're reporting that defense officials have miscalculated the cost of the material that they've sent to the Ukraine to the tune of about $3 billion. In fact, the defense official says that it's possible the amount of overvalued weaponry could grow beyond $3 billion as the Pentagon examines the situation more thoroughly. But basically what has happened is money was approved by Congress for the Pentagon to use to spend on equipment to send to the Ukraine. They've done that, they've sent that, but they've now done a reassessment and realized that they had got the costs wrong and the value, the inconsistencies in the way they valued the equipment that was sent, such that they're now saying that they overvalued them by $3 or more billion, which seems to be quite a clever way to get another $3 billion of spending to be able to allocate to equipment to send to Ukraine without having to go back to Congress to ask for more money. Given that the money was originally approved for military material, it was sent, but then when they found out that they'd overpriced it and overvalued it, they're now able to send more. So it'd be interesting to see if there's any if that raises any flags or any concerns within the American government. I doubt that it will, or that much will happen. Okay, so last night there was a massive drone and missile attack over the Ukraine. Reports of 54 weapons, or missiles, drones being launched. Ukraine claiming that 52 were shot down. Interestingly, as often happens here, the Russians will give a figure for the number of missiles that they launched, and the Ukrainians will claim that nearly all of them were shot down. However, there's often then reports coming out of the Ukraine from a number of different areas that there is damage being suffered. Similar reports coming out overnight that would seem to indicate that perhaps more than 2 of the weapons launched actually found targets. In particular, up in the northeast, to the east of Kiev and the Kharkiv region, explosions were reported that caused seismic shocks to be detected between 2 and 3 on the seismic scale. Now, while not clear as to whether this is a modified scale or if this is the Richter scale, if you do a quick look up, this could indicate something that between 5 and 30 tons of TNT in one blast went up. So this is leading to some claims that perhaps another ammunition depot was struck, and that perhaps this one was an underground ammunition depot. There have been a number of large attacks on Ukrainian ammunition depots over the last fortnight, with videos surfacing on social media showing some of the massive explosions from these. So this may well be another one, but perhaps a strike into an underground ammunition dump. Let's talk a little bit about the F-16s and the Abrams battle tanks. So Joe Biden has announced that F-16s and Abrams battle tanks will be supplied. This is an escalation, as in both cases. The US had previously stated that these types of equipment would not be sent to the Ukraine. And now, while the US aren't sending F-16s directly themselves, the Netherlands is going to start, and some of the other 27 or so nations around the world who are licensed to own and operate F-16s will no doubt begin to contribute. There are concerns about the F-16s and their ability in the Ukraine conflict. This relates primarily to them being underpowered in terms of radar in comparison to the Russian S-300, S-400 air defense systems, with the thinking being that the air defense systems will be able to detect and attack the F-16s before the F-16s get close enough to be able to provide the close support that they may wish to provide. So people are suggesting now that their role may be limited, that they won't be the game-changing weapon in the conflict, and that they may be limited to defensive missions well behind the main battle line, so as to keep them away from the most forward-positioned Russian air defense systems. The F-16 is a very popular, well-known, famous fighter jet, but it has been around for quite a long time. Its first flight was nearly 50 years ago, in 1974. It first got into the air. So while they're still in service, the US Air Force don't purchase them anymore. They're only being built for export now for other customers, and as again Alexander Mercouris mentioned the other day on the Duran, that whether the F-16s do well or badly in Ukraine may be a win in either case for the US. If they do well, great, they can talk about their great F-16s. If they do badly, great, because then there's a lever to get more European nations to purchase F-35s. So the F-35s, there's already a number of these in Europe, which these are American ones in Europe. They were moved over there at the start of the Russian special military operation in February 2022. They were sent there in a role of sucking up signals information, electronic signals information. They weren't flying over any borders, they weren't dropping anything, they weren't firing anything. But 26 of them there were in that role. There are a number of nations who have put in purchase orders for F-35s. And some of the numbers are quite interesting. Belgium have ordered 34. Poland's got 32 on back order. Switzerland's got 32. Finland has 64. Germany's ordered 35 F-35s. The Czech Republic have ordered 22 of them. And putting that all together, plus the 26 US ones that are there, there's nearly, once they arrive, there'll be 250 or more F-35s in Europe, with Belgium starting to receive them this year, and Poland next year. I think Belgium's getting 2 this year. Then the plan is that all of those units will be delivered by 2030. So I wonder if we might see any of those in action at any stage here. Okay, so this is an interesting one. My title here for this little area here is Skynet's baby steps. Reports have come out. The Eurasian Times is reporting an interesting advancement that the Russian S-350 air defense system, it's a medium-range surface-to-air missile system, and its purpose is to replace the S-300s. But according to some recent reports, it has been operating for the first time, and it has destroyed a number of Ukrainian aircraft and drones operating in its automatic mode. So in its automatic mode, the S-350 detects, tracks, fires, detects, fires again, and with no human operator involvement at all. So the claims are that it's been successful in shooting down Ukrainian planes and drones operating in this AI-assisted automatic mode. These reports have come out this week. So it's a formidable piece of equipment. It's the complex combined. Obviously, its radar unit and its launcher units. They're capable of hitting aerodynamic air targets, so airplanes, drones, cruise missiles, at a range of 120 to 150 kilometers out, and ballistic targets at a distance of up to 25 kilometers out. So in this case, the maximum speed that the targets can be at for the S-350 to strike them can be up to 2 kilometers per second. So that's fast. Interestingly, the Kinjal hypersonic missile has a maximum speed of 3.4 kilometers per second. So an equivalent Western air defense system with the same capabilities as the S-350, it would seem, would not be able to strike a Kinjal hypersonic missile. Interesting. All right, look, that's it. Just a short one for tonight. If you've liked this, please subscribe. I'm going to try and put a few more of these out over the next couple of days on a couple of different topics. And if you want to do me a really big favor, jump over to my other channel, The Third Party Show, and subscribe there. Thank you.